Hi everyone, my name's Alfie Willingale and welcome to the 24 on Day Ticket Fishing. So welcome to Booney's Lake, which is part of the Manor Farm fishing complex just off of the A1 in Biggleswade, Bedfordshire. It's not actually the first time I visited here. In fact, the last time I was stood by this lake was the evening in which Boris Johnson announced that the UK was going into full lockdown. So I don't think any of us could imagine what was to follow after that. Very weird and crazy times for sure, but I've been dying to get back and just waiting for an excuse to come here. And finally that's happened. I'm here to film my 24 session, specifically on day ticket fishing. This whole complex, I believe, is day ticket fishing. So over the next 24 hours, as the name suggests, I'm going to be taking you through exactly how I approach a venue such as this. So the first thing I want to do when I get to a venue like this is walk around. So what I've done is pull the barrow off of the van, thrown the barrow cover over it because it's meant to rain a little bit shortly. And I'm going to go for a very detailed walk around the lake with a bucket and try and find the area that I think is going to be best to commit most of my efforts to in the next 24 hours. So now the very important part, I've got to check the time because we're doing this 24 hours exactly. The time at the moment is 11:05 on the dot, the hand's just changed. So yeah, this time tomorrow at 11:05 I will have to stop fishing, and fingers crossed by that point I will have had a couple of fish and everything would have gone a success. So when you arrive at a day ticket lake, and this depends where you are, obviously this day and age, especially in England, the lakes can get very busy, but location is always the most important factor. So the first thing I'm looking to do is find the fish. Now, if you've got a venue that isn't particularly too busy, and you are able to dot in between swims, then obviously you can spend a little bit more time walking around the lake and trying to find the best area. You've probably heard this a million times before, but if the carp aren't in front of you, you're not going to catch them. And I think that is what people can be a little bit guilty of when it comes to day ticket fishing. You see people racing for swims when they turn up in the car park and you shoot yourself in the foot before you even start. Yeah, you can get lucky and you might have dropped on the pack of fish. But yeah, always have a walk around on places like this. See where the fish are and set up as close to them as possible as you can. Always take the floater pouch with me, just because there's always the opportunity for a quick bite. The sun's in and out in a minute, so it's making it a little bit difficult to actually see the surface of water gin clear. But from what I can gather from some of the photos I've seen, these carp are really dark, which is even more reason why I want to catch one. But I think, yeah, off the top could certainly be a possibility. So I'm just testing a few swims. If there is the opportunity of a quick bite, there's no better way than catching them off the top. So we shall see. Thrown a handful of bait in just in the margin, more so just to get an idea whether there's fish in the area. I mean, it's probably unfishable this swim, but you've got 3 or 4 foot of water. I can see straight through to the bottom and I can see the bait, so I know that if that's gone, there's carp in the area, which could dictate where I actually set up for the night. Yeah, look. Right, that's enough for me. So I've definitely seen enough now to warrant going grabbing a rod off the barrow. Very spooky taking slicker floaters off the top, but there is the odd one there that I think could slip up. There's an area just down to my left where it's sort of snagging. They're definitely taking more confidently there. So if I can get a bait in position, fingers crossed, one will slip up. So for now, I'm gonna go grab the rod off the barrow and come right back here. I always take the floaters with me when I'm walking around, just a little pouch around your waist. It doesn't add any extra weight. And yeah, that again lets you know whether there are carp in the area, because you can't always see them, but you can flick a few pouches out and they just appear out of the weed and they can start taking, especially with it being windy, which it was. The light conditions weren't good to see whether there were carp there. So yeah, a couple of pouches of slicker floaters in the corner of the lake, and truth behold, one started taking. And yeah, it wasn't at that point that I was then going to commit, because obviously that could have been the odd one, and there might not have been a good opportunity on the cards. But as soon as I watched them for a little bit longer, yeah, it was enough to make me go, I can nick a quick bite here. wind's picked up more so than it was before, so I can't actually see the surface of the water. I can't see any fish either. What I did do though when I was walking around initially was bait a few spots in the margin with only a handful of bait, and as I was going on my way back from the van, I did notice a fish feeding on one of the spots already. So the floater spot for the minute is out of the question. I'm going to concentrate on this spot down the edge, see if he's still there, and get a rod in position. The time now is 12:16, so it's been an hour, just over the hour since we started. Don't regret anything yet, of course. Finding them is the most important thing, but to get one this early would be a right result. But yeah, I'm going to try and do that right now. Seeing the fish move through, I knew that was the area in which I wanted to drop a bottom bait rig. Yeah, it certainly looked like they were interested in the little bit of bait that I'd put down. So what I did first of all, made sure there was no fish cruising through and just dropped a lead. Just to see what the bottom was like, see if it came through. It was actually an old rig I used as well, just with a hook, just to see if it picked up any debris, and that would determine what presentation I would use. And in this case, it was a little pop-up on a Ronnie rig. Yeah, so sat back, put the rod on the rest, and at this point I'm only fishing one rod. Still haven't taken anything else off the barrow because I'm looking. That could be a 10-minute situation, and I might have to move, or an hour situation. So yeah, so I kept my eyes on the water, and it wasn't long at all, I'd say 20 minutes or so before that rod screamed off. Oh, no, it's still on. Oh, hitting hold fishing this, fishing right up to a snag, he's trying to get under there. That was crazy, that's not been in the water 2 seconds. And he's gone to get right in the snag straight away. It's not out of the works yet. Oh. Hairy stuff with the snags being so close. It's gin clear, I can see him as well. He's a heavy, fully scoured. Loads of scouts. He's not happy. He's just diving back in there. No. Come on, get in there. Yes, we got him. Oh, I panicked a little bit there, I'm not gonna lie. My heart is in my mouth. The water is gin clear. Straight away, I wasn't expecting it. The rod's only been in the water for 10 minutes or so, and yeah, it's melted off. Well, I'm fishing locked up, so the tip's bent round, but it managed to just go straight under the snags, which is where I was expecting it to go, but testament to the gear, strong line, 20-pound bullet, right under the snag, pulled it out over there, hairy under the rod tip, and as soon as I saw what it was, it's a heavily plated, fully scoured mirror. Yeah, I went to a little bit like jelly, to be honest, so not the smoothest playing it, but he's in the net, and I'm one very happy man. I'm very happy. Oh, wow. Look at that. And there you go, that's exactly the reason why you have to put location more important than anything in fishing. My stuff isn't even off the barrow yet. Yeah, just a couple of rods and a net and enough to just place a rig in the margin. And yeah, the time now is just 1:30. The 2.5 hours since I started fishing, and what a way to start the session. A little bit lively. I'd much rather get one early on than I would right at the last minute. So yeah, it set me up for the session nicely. Certainly gives me more of an idea of how the rest of the day is going to plan as well. I mean, I had by no means cemented myself to that swim or this area of the lake. I was going to keep walking, but I've seen enough activity now to certainly persevere for the next few hours, and then I'll know by this evening that I'm in the right spot or not. But yeah, what a way to start a session. Now, I love my day ticket fishing, and there's a number of reasons why I find it so appealing. Generally speaking, the lakes are heavily stocked, and what that means is that you've got the opportunity to catch multiple fish, and there's nothing that gets me more excited than the actual bite. As soon as you hear the R3 screaming off or that rod bending round, that for me, that's where I get my buzz when I go fishing. And other lakes offer this, of course, but generally, as I mentioned, day tickets, there's more carp and more chance of that happening. I slipped that one back and then obviously wanted to get the rod back out on that spot. Having done a fish, I was confident there could be a few more down there. So got that rod into position, and then a couple of hours passed with no joy, no more action on that. So I was then thinking about introducing the other 2 rods into the lake. And I actually saw a fish show right off the edge of this island, only about 50, 60 yards or so, come out of the water twice, a really nice common, so black and dark as it come out, and I remember thinking, cool, I wouldn't mind that one in the back of my landing net. So I investigated the area, I got my leading rod out, cast over there because I couldn't see the bottom, it was towards an island, just to see what was over there, whether it's weedy or not. It turns out there was a deeper hole just off the edge of the island before coming back to some really savage, well, you couldn't even describe it as gravel, it was stones. And you can see there was a bar sat out of the water, and I'm convinced that the area around that was similar to that, these big old stones. Not a place I personally would want to be presenting a rig. So yeah, when it comes to finding a spot on a day ticket lake, or any lake for that matter, what I'm looking for is an area I can present a bait effectively. It's not always gravel, it's not always soft silt, sometimes you can present in, hard silt, sometimes you can present in a soft silt or a bit of weed. No problem, but yeah, generally I'm looking for an area that I'm confident that hook point is presented. And I'll do that by assessing the swim by having a lead about first, really. So what I'm doing is casting, mapping the swim, sort of back to front, and that tells me exactly what the makeup is on the bottom. And from that point, I'll choose exactly what area I want to focus my bait on. In this instance, I'm trying to look for a little bit of a softer area, and I found that by casting a little bit further, lovely smooth silty area, get a solid drop, and then I know I'm confident enough to present rigs and a little bit of bait there. 12, 13, 14, 15, 15.6. Once I was happy with the leading, found the spot. Yeah, it's 2 rods on that area, so 2 rods went down really nice. Got lovely drops on those. They were fishing, confident of that, and then I like fishing tight over a baited area. I didn't want to introduce too much because I knew that I got a bite off of a handful of bait in the edge. I wanted to replicate that situation over 2 rods, so it was only 6 dot spots over the area. They all went out lovely. It's a really good feeling when you see that dot spot land on the area. No head losses, that can always happen where you get everything perfect. And then there's nothing worse when your baiting doesn't go to plan and you end up baiting an area the size of a tennis court when you wanted to bait the size of a bucket lid. So yeah, it's always good when it goes to plan. Well, we're coming into the evening now and things are starting to quieten down, and I've got all 3 rods on spots that I'm really happy with. In terms of today, it's been very up and down the weather-wise. We had some really good fishing conditions. There's been loads of rain and then the odd sunny spell here and there. But what I want to talk to you now about is the actual spots that I'm fishing this evening. So when I come to day tickets such as this one, I love to fish 2 or 3 rods on a tight baited area. And the reason for this, well, there's a few reasons for this. First of all, once I've had a lead about and mapped the swim, usually there's a single area that is at the top of my list where I think is going to be the best place to present a bait. And what I want to do is pull all the carp's attention to that single spot. And by doing this, it also gives you the advantage that you've got 3 hook baits in a tight area. So if they do turn up in numbers, you can actually have more than 1 fish. And I've been very successful on a number of occasions where 2 rods have gone off, like almost next to each other, or sometimes 3, so you can have no rods in the water. Obviously, dotting baits here and there does work, but for me, it's a method that I'm most confident in. In this instance, I've got 2 rods on a tight baited area, and the 3rd rod is a fish just under the rod tip, simply because of what I saw when I first arrived. So they're the spots I'm fishing. I'm really confident that my hook baits are presented lovely, and now it's just a case of the carp turning up and deciding to have a feed. We just sat there, just funnily enough, just talking about fishing rods over a baited spot, and the left-hander's just gone, but it's very, I don't know if it's actually managed to just nick into the trees at the back, but it doesn't feel particularly nice at the moment, I'm not gonna lie. Feel the fish kicking. The fight was a little bit hairy because it had a little bit of leeway just where it could bend round to find just where the trees just entered the water. Nothing too dangerous, and I just applied steady pressure, walked back and just kept that fish away from the snags, which is a really good thing you should do. Just walk back gently, and that way the fish can't gain any line and it'll come free of any obstacles. He did, he's managed to get in the trees at the back. Oh, he's off, I think. Oh no, he's on the top. Get him over that weed. So I just had to pay attention there. Carp's just found his way into the marginal tree line. Despite fishing a tight clutch, he could just ever so slightly veer right. I've just had to apply a steady pressure to him to get his head up. It's past that now, but just trying to keep him over the weed. Get in the net. Yes, number 2. Oh, so that was hairy. As you probably saw when I was playing it during the fight, I was really trying to pay attention. I'm fishing tight to an overhanging bush on the island. Fishing locked up, but the thing is it can kite left or right, so it's managed to find itself just into the edge of it. Applied gentle pressure, 20-pound bullet. You need it when you're fishing situations like this. If they can go into snags, just fish with strong stuff. It doesn't impede you in any way. And yeah, that's the result. Fish number 2 in the net, and it's a lovely looking mirror. Really nice dark one, with the water being so clear, they darken up, so I can't wait to show them to you. So all I'm doing now is just taking a couple of rod lengths or so of line off around where I attached the leader, just because it did manage to find just where the branches met the water a little bit, and it just looks a little bit as it's had a little bit of friction against something not too nice. So just better to be safe than sorry. Yeah, just whip a couple of rod lengths off and you're good to go again. With that fish in the net, I was getting everything ready to get the rod back out, and just as I was about to cast, the right-hand rod next to the snag decided to rip into life. Jesus Christ. I was just casting the rod back out on the fish. You would have just seen me playing, and my margin rod's jumped into life. I don't know how he's around that bit there. But yeah, I'm just keeping the rod tip low at the minute because there's a set of snags to my right. Just got to keep the rod tip, because it's all clear underneath, but he went on a very powerful first run. It's 20-pounder all day long. Really intense battle. I had to put the rod right under the snag just to make sure that the line wasn't coming up into the bush. It's right under there. Yeah, I managed to pull him through, clear, really strong fish, and start playing him in front of me. Oh, it's crazy. It's a little bit hairy under the rod tip again, just because of the power of the fish post-spawning. They really have got some adrenaline this time of year, and yeah, after a short fight, he was in the back of the landing net, and I knew I had a really nice fish here. Yes! What a crazy 10 minutes. Just as I was about to cast the rod back out into the spot where I had that other fish, the margin rod has roared into life. fishing locked up. The fish didn't manage to go anywhere, managed to get to the rod quickly, and then he's gone for a mad run under the snags. Luckily it's all clear under there. I've got the rod tip right down in the water. So what you should do if there's marginal snags to your left or right, and just pulled him through. And yeah, again, bullet mono proving super strong in snaggy conditions. Come all the way through, no problems. And now I've got a fish in each net. Fantastic result, and this is definitely the biggest yet. I think he's a 20-pounder. I didn't actually realise how big it was until I had a proper peer into the landing net, and I thought, cool, this could be 30 pounds. Truth behold, it was just a few ounces under that, but a mega looking common, like incredible looking fish, chestnut brown, and yeah, what a way to head into the evening. The first fish was a really nice crusty old mirror. Yeah, not a huge character by the lake standards, but one that was really, really dark, and yeah, just an awesome fish to have in my photo album. And there we go, there's a result of that hard fighting battle that you would have witnessed earlier. Came over the baited spot, this one, which shows the approach is working. What a mega old crusty looking carp. They look awesome in this gin clear water. And the best thing is, I've actually got a bigger one to show you. Second fish superseded all of this. This was a little bit of a lump. Yeah, as I mentioned, just under the 30-pound mark. Chestnut common. Oh, it's just incredible looking, immaculate. Didn't even look like it'd seen a hook before, not a scale out of place. Yeah, incredible looking fish, and I was just super excited with that one. What a fish, what a fish. Well, look at that. The result of a mental 5 minutes of 2 bites. Unbelievable looking common, chestnut colours. Yeah, I'm blown away by this. Just a few ounces under the 30-pound mark. An incredible fish and a real jewel of Booney's Lake. I'm blown away. I'm so happy with this one. And we've still got the night to come yet. What a result. Wow, look at that. Not done. Then we went into the evening. The weather was still being on and off, so yeah, it was a little bit difficult, mate, keeping everything dry. But got the rods back out on the spots, and both had done a fish now, so I was super confident heading into the nighttime period. Well, it's been a little while since I last spoke to you when I mentioned the time. We're actually 10 to 9 in the evening already. There you go, if you don't believe me. 10 hours into the challenge, and yeah, it's been a very eventful day, but a really good day. 3 fish so far, had a fully scoured, a common, and a lovely crusty mirror. I couldn't have asked for a better start to the session. Evening's drawing in now, so I'm just gonna sit down, relax, take the lake in now the wind's died down, enjoy a lovely bit of food, and yeah, see what the night brings.
Chicken skewers might be done, you know.
Right, nip one open.
Unfortunately, though, nothing happened during the night. I was a little bit surprised, but just as the sun was rising, one of the rods over the baited spot decided to tear into life, and I think, I have to be honest here, I just got royally done. I met the take after sliding my shoes on, went over to the rod, lifted into it, and the lead had gone. I just brought back a rig with no lead, and I think that's just the case of the carp. Yeah, getting rid of the hook, nothing I could do about that one. Before I could even think about getting that rod back out on the spot though, the margin rod was into life again. I was on it quick, but this time it wasn't a carp, it was a tench. But it did tell me that it had been sitting out there presented fine throughout the night. So, in my opinion, the fish had moved off the area for the evening. About an hour or so had passed after having the tench, and the sun was starting to really get high in the sky and heat the area up. This end of the lake is shallower than the other end, so I was correct in thinking that the carp had moved out for the evening. I was hoping that the sun would bring them back, and truth behold, yeah, it was starting to feel really warm. The right-hand rod was away again, and there was no way this was a tench, because yeah, that rod was bent round double. Was on the rod quick, managed to get a carp away from the snag, and it was just another case of playing him in the open water in front of me. So yeah, just sit there about to do a little piece of the camera, and the trusty margin rod has gone again. On the rod straight away, kept the rod tip low like I did before, just to get him out of all the marginal snags. And he's in front of me now, but he's super strong. Post spawning, they really do pull your arm off, but you've got to give them some. Don't give them a chance to get back in there. One. Don't rush things. So much strength. Really strong fish. Lovely fish. And he's in the net. Hey, number 4. What a result. It's another lovely looking common. 20-pounder again, I think. Yeah, real nice fish. And it just shows you, I'm convinced last night, as I mentioned, they've moved out, probably into the deeper water as the sun set. And yeah, no sooner has it come up, heated the water a bit, they've moved into these marginal snags. And number 4 of the session, what a result.
Time now?
Time is, I've got my phone in my pocket, 7:36, so there's time left for another one. Mega. So I've just had a fish, so it's the perfect opportunity to run you through the rig that I'm using on this session. I'm not going to bore you with it too much because you've seen it all before. It is the Ronnie Rig, but I will touch on a few important details and reasons why I'm so confident in this presentation. The boom section is made up of our 25-pound skin link, which is the perfect material to kick away from the lead and make sure it presents every time, especially when you're critically balancing a pop-up. You test it in the margin and you get that lovely separation from the lead, and I think that is exactly what you need for hooking properties. The actual hook section utilises our new Ronnie swivel. All I've done though is snip the ring swivel part of it off, so you're left with just the barrel of the swivel, and it just means it sits even lower to the deck, because the last thing I want is a pop-up sat high off the deck, especially when I'm feeding quite a bitty mix, because they're feeding quite close to the bottom. And the hook pattern, really important for me. To be honest, I only use one hook pattern, or a variation of that hook pattern, should I say, the claw and the floater claw. It's a pattern that I have so much confidence in. Surface fishing, zig fishing, pop-up, waft the bottom bait, it's the one that I always opt for. And yeah, as you can see here in this instance, it's a size 6 floater claw. I like using the floater claw. They're extremely strong, despite their thinner wire gauge. I've had no problems, and you've seen me playing them through the snags. No problems whatsoever, and the reason I like the floater claw is because it has a needle sharp point. That slightly thinner wire gauge, it's just deadly, it's needle sharp. Again, bait screw on a shank. I always use a bait screw just because it just makes attaching the pop-ups or whatever bait you're using so easy. I don't even have to think about getting a needle out or hair stops or anything like that, or threading floss. Another point to add, I prefer using shrink tube. You can use a kicker, which makes it a slightly bit easier to actually peel it back and change the hook, but I think you just get such more of an aggressive angle by using the shrink tube. I just pull it into the shrinker, heat it for 10 or so seconds, and then I can angle it once I've removed it from there, and you can see there I've got that real aggressive angle. And it's just a super, super rig that I have so much confidence in. And I wouldn't think about changing it wherever I go. The only thing I would change is, if it did demand it, is just stepping up the hook size or the wire gauge. We're going from a floater claw to a claw. But there you go, something I take absolutely everywhere, utmost confidence, and it's certainly done me well on this session. There we go, fish number 4. Came as soon as that sun come up this morning. A few ounces under 25 pound, and another incredible looking carp. And it just goes to show you, you can find amazing carp in day ticket lakes. So I've got 3 hours to go. I certainly wouldn't be complaining if that was it for the session. But as always, greed is good. And yeah, I'm gonna hope for another one. Again, that was the 4th fish of the trip, and it was another incredible looking carp, just another dark chestnut common, and that isn't what you'd usually associate with day ticket lakes. So many people think that day ticket lakes are just full of these pale carp, and in my opinion, day ticket lakes have some of the best carp in the country. I mean, you look at the likes, as I mentioned, bluebell, horseshoe, and even boonies, like just look at some of the fish that I've caught on this trip. They're incredible looking carp, and if you do overlook day ticket fisheries for that reason, I'd really push you to reconsider. You know, these places have some real gems. It's not been long since I put that last fish back, but since then the sun has got right up in the sky. It's really warm. I say it's 20 degrees already, and that's presented an opportunity for a little bit of surface fishing. What I'm going to do now is reel all the rods in, pack away. I've noticed a few fish down the far end of the lake, just the next one along. Yeah, and I'm going to treat myself to a couple of hours, I think, surface fishing. Let's check the time. Yeah, 9:05. Couldn't be more accurate. We've got 2 hours exactly until the end of the session. Let's see if I can go get one off the top. So we've got an hour left to go. As I mentioned earlier, I packed everything up to come down here for a little bit of surface fishing, and during that time, it's got overcast, the wind's picked up, makes fish spotting really difficult, and I just think they've moved out a little bit. So it was a bit of a risk, but I don't regret it at all. On another day, if that sun stayed out, I'm sure there would have been a few more fish down here. But for now, I think I'm gonna play another 10 minutes here, give my attention to this for another 10 minutes or so, and then I might actually walk back up this bank towards the van as it gets closer to the 11:05 mark, and see if there's any other opportunities on the top. But yeah, other than that, I cannot complain. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's time, 11:05. As you can see there, that's the end of the session. Job done. Couldn't have asked for it to gone better, to be honest. If you said that would have happened before the session started, I would have bitten your hand off. 4 fish landed in total. First of all, that mid-double fully scoured. Again, that blew me away. Before I even got it in the net, I was panicking because I see where it was. Then the crusty old looking mirror, nice dark one. Then the 29 pounder, nearly a 30, just chestnut brown. And finally finished it on another 20 pounder, that second common of the trip. So yeah, mega session. I'll definitely be coming back to this lake without a doubt. I know me and the boys have even been discussing coming here in our personal time because we've been that impressed with it. So yeah, credit to Manor Farm Lakes. Thank you for having us. Yeah, it's been a fantastic session.